Today is April 20th, 2016. I'm interviewing my mom. She wants to tell a story about her grandpa Carter. That would actually be her great grandpa Carter.
Right.
On her mom's side.
All right, let me do it. Okay, Grandpa Carter lived, they had come from Virginia from a wealthy home. But they came to, and they had all this property because they were claiming it and living on it. And Grandpa was so good to the Indians, they loved him because he gave food to them and everything. And then also he gave land to Webb City and for them to have that little town. And so when they would, one night, he'd taken a big old dose of quinine and went to bed, and pretty soon there was a knock on the door, and his neighbor said, Leroy, your cows are all in the river, Spring River, or Center Creek, wherever they were living.
Probably Center Creek.
And so he got up and got dressed, and the neighbor stayed and helped him get all those cows out of the creek and back into the property. And he went back to bed, but the next morning he was absolutely paralyzed from his waist down. Now they already had one little girl, but then after that, well, then they, down through the years, they had about 7 or 8 kids. But
now this is all before the Civil War?
This is right at the beginning. Yeah, the beginning, it's already started. Quantrells came by and
Quantrells Raiders? He came by Grandpa Carter's?
Carter. And after he left, he said, burn it. And the guy that was last, he said, listen, lady, to my grandmother, he said, lady, I have a little girl, a baby that size, which is a little baby. And he said, I just can't burn your house. He stepped out and they shot that guy for being soft. Well, anyway, when the people from, all right, Grandpa Foster was always for the Union, the North, and the South came by and they said, okay, you got.
Well, Quantrells was for the South, wasn't he?
I don't know who he was for. He was he was out there doing it for himself.
Was he a North Raider? Quantrells.
He was a rat.
He was a rat. Okay.
Well, he went down to the next neighbor's house and he killed he brought the dad and the daughter out, and he shot the dad, and then they hung him until he died. And the next morning the daughter, but they made her watch it, and then her hair was white the next morning. Anyway, that's long past. So anyway, when the South came and told Grandpa, listen, you could be a spy awful easy, and we just can't leave you here. We'll have to take you. And so they took, and he was a cripple.
Oh, he was already crippled.
Oh
okay.
Yeah, he'd already gone to the driver, and that's why he didn't go to the army himself. He was in a wheelchair or something.
Now this is in Perseverance. He's in Perseverance at the time.
Oh yeah, somewhere in there around Webb City. He'd given the land to Webb City to make a little town in Perseverance. So, yeah, right in there. So they loaded him up and took him to Little Rock. And well, the Indians saw them do that, and they followed him on horseback, on ponies or whatever.
Do you know which tribe, by chance?
No.
Just Indians, okay. From America.
Probably Cherokee.
Probably Cherokee Indian.
I'm just guessing. How would I don't know that? Nobody ever knew or said anything. And so they put him in jail down there. Well, after they found out where he was and what jail he was in, they tied a big heavy chain or rope and pulled that open, and all these guys that was in that escaped. And what happened was, Grandpa's brother-in-law was in jail there, and they escaped. And anyway, they took them. They had horses and everything, and or buggies or something. Anyway, Grandpa was they were able to get him to Neosho, to the caves down there.
Oh, he was part of the people who hid out in Neosho?
Yeah, he was the ones that they did hide out in the caves, and so Grandpa sent a note to Grandma and said, "Bring the wagon, have lots of covers," and
Well, Little Rock,
gave her instruction.
Little Rock to Neosho is a long trip. I mean, that's a...
Of course. But the Indians did this for him.
About 200 miles?
That was so amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing that the Indians would go all the way down there to rescue him.
And so they brought this note to Grandma. Well, she had to travel by night because it was night then by then. Anyway, she threw a lot of covers in and food. She put some food in. And she had her baby, and she had the wagon.
Isn't Neosho about 45 miles to the south of where we're talking about? I mean, that's a long trip. That's more than a day
Well, I
trip.
think it's 100 miles from
No, I'm talking about...
Neosho is about 100 miles from Carthage. I know that.
No, it's not that far, is it? It's about... Neosho's not so far down. Maybe 40, 50 miles. Well, we can look it up online. Neosho's in Missouri, and
He's hidden in the cave so that nobody would catch him again. And so she was actually able to go down there and find that cave because the Indians had instructed her. They may have even gone with her, I don't know. But I know that she was able to get... And so Grandpa and his brother-in-law got in the wagon and put the covers over them, and they ate. They were hungry. And she had to drive back. She drove down there all that ways, and she had to drive back. And she was only Grandma Carter was 4'11", and my great-grandma Carter was 4'11". My great-grandma Gray was 4'10", and I took after Grandma Gray. But anyway.
by 1 inch. Not, did you say 4'11"? And
4'10".
so there's just a 1 inch difference between the two.
Exactly. And they made it back, and when they got back, they threw things. They'd buried their silverware in jars or whatever, and anything valuable, and packed that wagon and left right then for up there. Where is that Fort?
Fort Scott?
Yeah, Fort Scott.
Oh, they went into Kansas?
Yeah, they went to Fort Scott. Well, they're not very far from Kansas when they...
No, they're not. Fort Scott, is about 70 miles up the road?
It was a long ways, but they had to get there for protection, and they drove at night. And Grandma had to do that no, I guess Grandpa could have done that too. Anyway, they made it. And they stayed there, and they had at least one child born up there, maybe two. So that they stayed a while. And they lived. Anyway, that's my story on the Carters.
Okay, well, thanks for listening. Now, this was the Civil War we were talking about, and how the Indians had rescued Grandpa Carter, who was actually paralyzed at the time.
Exactly, from his waist down.
From his waist down. So it would be quite, I mean, we're talking about hundreds of miles trips. I mean, all the way down to Little Rock is a long ways. So you can check that on Google Maps.
Well, we didn't go to Little Rock.
Well, I thought you said the Indians rescued him from Little Rock.
They did.
Well, if he went all the way, that's about I think it's about 150 miles
Oh, I'm
drive
sure. I'm sure.
one way. Now, Neosho's only maybe 150 miles from.
I think it's 100.
No, not from Cartersville. But anyway, you can check that up. Neosho from, from Kansas City down to Neosho is about 150 miles. I've driven it before. So it's from Carthage, it's only about another 50, maybe 40.
They always said it was 100.
Round trip would have been about 100. If they went there and back, it would have been about a 100-mile trip, round trip. Okay, we can check that all out on maps for us fact finders. Okay, love you guys. Bye-bye.